Hi, Meredith. I am so excited to have you here talking to me about your experience at Elevate. I know it wasn't called Elevate the last 2 years. That's a new thing this year, but I'm gonna go with it. We're gonna call it that for forever now.
I think it's perfect. I think it is the perfect term.
Thank you. It just took me
Yeah.
3 years to figure that out. But that's how it goes, right? That's how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk to you quickly about your experience at Elevate and talk about why you're coming back. So my first question for you is, well, I guess it's more of a statement, is tell me about your experience the last couple years because you've gone to both of them and will be coming again to this third one. So, and you even went to my Bloom conference this past April. So just tell me about your experience. Tell me what you think.
Oh, absolutely. So I think the first one I went in with no expectations. I kind of went in and obviously we were friends. And I wanted to support you. And then also, I know that you do marvelous things. Like I know that you've always been one of those people who are there to advocate and to help others elevate. Right. So the first one I had no expectations. And kind of went uh, with a blank slate. And when I left, I feel like I left with a full plate of myself. And when I say that, I'm not one to take time to really put energy into myself. I'm always about helping others and getting others, to where they want to be. And so I didn't realize how important it is to like stop and fill up your own cup before, helping others. So when I left, oh, I'm getting goosebumps now just talking about it. But when I left, it was like, oh my gosh, like I really need to start focusing more on me. So the second year, obviously I was like, well, here we go, time to recharge. And so again, when with knowing what I was going to be recharged with, but also not understanding like the impact that it would trickle down. Like I was at a point in my life, and I think it's one of those things that when you go, you don't really like, okay, yeah, I probably need to recharge, but you really don't know like how important it is and how impactful it's going to be. And I think getting those workshops and kind of really focusing on myself in such a supportive environment, I think that's really important to consider. It's that yes, you can, do one-on-ones and sessions and all that kind of stuff, but when you're surrounded with other people who are kind of going through similar paths but different, right? Everybody's on their own journey, but there's so much that we can really learn from each other and be supportive and be vulnerable with people who aren't going to judge you for it. Um, and I think especially the Bloom one, like there in that instance, there was people that I've known for like years who have never been on that level of understanding who they really are until you're in that kind of setting that you're unpeeling those layers for yourself, and also with others, and really helping to understand like how you can getting those tools to fill your own cup, before doing so for others.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for
Of
sharing that.
course, of course.
So, my next question is what keeps you coming back? And you sort of answered that, but I'd love to see if there's more to it. Like what is it that makes you already block it on your calendar and know that you're coming every year?
Honestly, I think it's, as I mentioned, like it's really hard for me to kind of focus energy on myself. And so I know, like, okay, and I feel like it's a perfect time of year too, because it's just like fall starting to come, and so like it's that time of year. Okay, like the summer chaos is slowing down, like before winter comes and we all hibernate. Like let's take time to reflect in ourselves, and then to really kind of vamp up before the winter, before whatever's the holiday rush and all that craziness that comes. So I think the main reason I come is for me because it reiterates like how important it is for me to reflect on myself, but also to see others as well, because you form these great relationships with people that you would never do in other circumstances. There's nothing locally similar to this.
Ooh, love that. I'm gonna like pull that out. Nothing similar. Yes.
Nothing.
And
Yes.
you've been here for years, so you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and you go to things. You don't just sit
I
around
do. I
and,
do. Yeah.
and just sit in your house. You're a busy, busy lady, so you know what's out here. So that's
That's true.
even more impactful, that sentence. So thank you for sharing that too. So you've gone to two elevates, one bloom, and I'm curious to know what has changed for you because you went to those, because you went to the summits, because you went to these conferences.
Um, I will say a lot, right? So I guess I've never really, I'm not, and vulnerability is not in my vocabulary. It's just not who I am. And so, and that's one of the things that I've realized that that's not a good thing for me, you know, like I need to be able to be vulnerable, and especially in certain circumstances, you know, be able to like speak up and speak my mind. I'm always concerned about how it's going to affect other people, and always kind of put myself behind like, oh, I don't want to speak up because this might hurt somebody's feelings, or um, you know, I don't want to say something because people might judge me, or like whatever the circumstances. And so, like, going through has helped me identify like these are the certain areas that I really need to focus on for myself, right? Um, in order for me to be a better me, like, I have to be okay with having these areas to improve on and to be vulnerable in different settings. And so, it's really helped me to identify like those areas, and how I can be a better person. And I can't remember the original question that you just asked me.
There were,
I started going to rabbit hole. Um,
what changed for you because of the
oh
summits
yeah,
is
yeah.
what the question was.
So, I, so one, I guess the main one is identifying those areas that I need to work on in order to be a better me, and two is getting those tools in order to get me there.
Hmm. And I love that you mentioned vulnerability because that is a scary thing for a lot of people, being
It
vulnerable,
is.
being open, sharing themselves in a way that they've never shared with anybody before, or maybe they've been burned by other people before. And also, especially as grown-ups, it's hard to make friends who are true and genuine and not just there for an agenda. So, being able to be vulnerable and open and coming to these things is is tough, but it's worth it.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah. So, with that, if I was thinking about coming to Elevate, but I kept just looking at the ads on Facebook and I just kept clicking on the link but I'm not clicking on the pay now, what would you tell me? What would you tell me to try to convince me or let me know that it's worth going to this summit? What would you say to me?
I guess first I would ask you, you know, what are you scared of? What's your hesitation? Um, and then say, you know, just come. There's nothing, like I said before, there's nothing like this around. You need to take time for you, boo. You know, like you really need to put yourself first.
Mhm.
And whatever the situation is, you know, wherever you are in life, you could be like, okay, well, you know what, I'm perfect. I have everything figured out. My life is grand. Or your life is, you know, the complete opposite. No matter where you are in your journey, you're going to come out with a full cup, and you're going to learn something, and you're going to, you know, get these amazing tools, go to these engaging workshops. You're going to make some friends. You're going to make these connections. And you're going to love it. There's nothing in there that I would say, oh, well, you know, consider maybe this isn't for you. No, like that, it's something for everybody.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I'll be there so we can be friends.
Yay! Me
Hang
too.
out with
I'll be
me.
there too.
Yeah, everybody there is like super warm, and you know,
Yeah.
and the same, you know, and supportive.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Well, after answering these questions, is there anything else you would like to add that you didn't mention? Any key points that you think would be really important to put in here? Anything come to mind? You got the table or the mic. There we go.
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. I just think that it's so important. I think like as women, we really don't take that time out to reflect on ourselves. And you don't really know what you're missing until you get there, right? So you can go years without reflecting and kind of thinking about you and putting yourself first. And that's what we do as women. We put others first. We help, make sure the kids are okay, the family's okay, the work and everything is situated. But it's so important to just take time to reflect on yourself. And to do that, you need to know, like, how you need to be able to identify, okay, here's something that I need to work with, and how, right? You need to get those tools in order to do it. And well, absolutely, you can get a book and you can read it and you can do, like a I was gonna say ditto, and that shows my age a little bit, but you can do, like workbooks and figure that out. But to do it in an environment with other women, it's just, I can't even put it into words. It's just so empowering to be with people who are like your supporters. So, there's people there that on day one, like, I had a quick conversation. Day two, we're like cheering each other on, like, here's some tissues, like, thank you for sharing that with me, and developing these relationships. And it could be, you build these relationships for that weekend and maybe never see them okay again. And that's okay. And that's totally fine, because in that moment you made that connection, right? Or it could be somebody that you meet and you develop a good relationship with, and you are best friends for life. And in both instances, it's just amazing to have that support with you the
Yeah.
whole time.
Yeah, I agree. It's so hard to put into words how powerful a weekend like this is. And I know I'm kind of biased because I like live and breathe this summit all year round, but just watching everybody each year grow and gain the knowledge that they need to succeed, and then like seeing them on social media grow ever since the last summit, just moving forward, and just knowing that some of those tools and some of those connections are because they came to Elevate is just so meaningful. It's so impactful to me.
And I think it's important to mention too, because it sounds intense when we talk about it, but it's fun. It's so fun because you're laughing and, making jokes, but at the same time, like, connecting and building relationships. So I don't mean to sound intense, because it is, but it's also like, it's so fun. It's just a great time.
Yeah, it is what you put into it, and it, I I can see definitely how it could come across as intense from the way that we're talking, but I do want people to know that it's a light-hearted situation in regards to, like, no one's forcing you to do anything you don't want to do.
Right.
Yeah, you might be stepping out of your comfort zone, but that's because we're there and we're together and we're supporting each other and uplifting each other rather than judging each other and peer pressuring each other.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a different type of intense than the normal zones, I think, but I can definitely see what you're saying. All right. Well, if that is everything that you have to say, I will end it here because I wanted to do it around 15 minutes. So this is perfect. And I am looking forward to seeing you again at Elevate in less than 2 months.
Yes. And I'm looking forward to seeing whoever's watching this video.
Yeah, we'll see you
You too. Come
there.
and say hi. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Come
Make
say
sure you
hi.
tell us that you saw Meredith. Go to
Yes.
Meredith at the summit and be like, "Listen, I watched your YouTube video."
Yes. Yes. I prove it by I want to
Yeah.
see
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.